The games that I work on in my spare time are first-person shooters with RTS elements that are heavily interwoven. There are 3 projects that I'm currently involved in, all of which are associated with Command & Conquer. On all 3 projects I work as a units, balance and systems designer, although I have skills in other areas which really helps with prototyping. The 3 projects that I work on are Red Alert 2 Apocalypse Rising, which I am involved with the most, Red Alert A Path Beyond, which is the most complete out of the 3 projects that I work on, and Tiberian Sun Reborn, which is undergoing a major balance pass at the moment, which I'm heavily involved with. Both Red Alert A Path Beyond and Tiberian Sun Reborn are released and have been featured in magazine articles and also in the ModDB annual Mod of the Year awards. Red Alert 2 Apocalypse Rising though is still in internal beta. All 3 of the games are based on Command & Conquer Renegade, which released back in 2002. Renegade actually shipped with a really interesting multiplayer mode called CNC mode. In this mode, 2 teams compete to destroy the other team's base. Throughout the game, a harvester controlled by the AI will harvest minerals that can be brought back to the refinery in order to generate credits. These credits can then be spent on character classes and advanced vehicles. The game ends when all the enemy's buildings have been destroyed. These are pretty much the basics of CNC mode. CNC mode is the default game type for all 3 of the projects that I work on, so when designing units and gameplay systems it has to be taken into account. Most of the design challenges I face when working on these games come from converting RTS gameplay mechanics in units to work in an FPS environment. The Devil's Tongue from Tiberian Sun Reborn is, I feel, a great example of how we've successfully converted an RTS unit to an FPS while remaining true to the source material and creating something that fits the genre. In the original game, the Devil's Tongue is a flame tank that has the ability to dig underground and covertly travel across the map. Our main challenge was to replicate this unit's digging ability whilst making it fun and engaging but also accessible. When creating the first prototype for this unit, we created 2 layers of the map that the unit could teleport between. We soon encountered a couple of problems which made us rethink how we were going to implement this unit. Having 2 layers of the map meant we effectively had to create every map twice, which was a lot of work. Also, because this unit could travel to a different layer of the map, it was impossible to detect. We had to take a step back and think, now how can we avoid creating lots of bespoke map assets for this single unit? And how do we better implement this with our core gameplay? How is this unit detectable? In the final implementation for the unit, we negated the need for a second layer of the map. Instead, we opted for an animation which transitions into a ghost. This ghost can clip through objects and units on the map, and is visible to allies but not enemies. This implementation melds really well with the core gameplay, as it allows the pilots of Devil's Tongues to effectively coordinate with their team. They're not stuck on some kind of obscure map layer, and teammates can clearly see where they are in the world. I think we implemented this unit quite well, as it's pretty fun to ambush a group of unsuspecting enemy units. As an anti-building unit, the Devil's Tongue poses balance concerns when it groups up with others of its kind. We were worried that several units popping out of the ground and destroying a building wouldn't allow enough time for GDI to react. In lieu of this, the unit is restricted from surfacing in the enemy base. Currently, the only way for the GDI team to detect a Devil's Tongue is to deploy a mobile sensor array. When deployed, the MSA projects a radius around itself. Any stealth or subterranean unit that enters that radius is flagged up to the GDI team via audio and UI notifications. We're currently investigating a way for certain special GDI units to make subterranean units forcibly surface. Currently there's no way to do this, so subterranean units may remain underground indefinitely. Over the years we've implemented many different types of RTS units into our games, and I just want to take this opportunity to go over some of my favourites. The Nod Tick Tank in Tiberian Sun is a main battle tank that can deploy to become a turret. In Tiberian Sun Reborn, players use a single button to deploy the vehicle, and it gains extra armor when it's deployed. This makes it a good unit for holding choke points. The GI from Red Alert 2 is a similar unit in the sense that it can deploy. When the GI deploys, he gets more armor and a better weapon. We gave both the Tick Tank and the GI more armor when they deploy because we feel that the FPS genre is a more movement-based genre. So if these units are stationary, they gain an immediate disadvantage. During prototyping, we discovered that GIs in particular are quite easy to kill when deployed, so we adjusted the values to make sure that deploying was a beneficial and meaningful choice for the player. In this case, we found that switching the scale from mobility to armor worked really well. Another unit that transferred over fairly seamlessly was the Mirage Tank from Red Alert 2. This vehicle passively disguises itself as a tree when idle. When the Mirage Tank disguises itself in Apocalypse Rising, it picks a tree from the map. That way you'll never see, for example, a cactus in a snow environment. I really enjoyed the fact that the Mirage Tank synergizes so well with the environment, as it prompts all the Soviet players to really think about whether there was a forest there before or not. The Mirage Tank drops its disguise when moving or firing, but it still feels really satisfying to ambush those slow and lumbering Soviet vehicles. To close this video off, I'd like to go over a couple of game mechanics that we had to change in order to get them to work in the FPS environment. The IFV is a unit in Red Alert 2 that changes turret based on what infantry is inside. These different turrets have the ability to change the IFV's role on the battlefield. If no infantry is inside the IFV, it defaults to a standard rocket turret. We wanted to give all IFV users the ability to use this turret, so we changed the way the IFV works in our game. Pushing a key will allow the player to initiate a turret swap. The turret swap has a fairly long cooldown because we didn't want players to switch between the standard and special turrets in quick succession. Initial prototypes proved that this unit could literally just switch turrets just to target whatever it needed to kill. Balancing the IFV is like balancing several units at once, so we regularly make sure that none of its turrets are adversely affecting anything new that's put into the game. The fact that it does have many turrets though makes it quite a fun unit to play, because it allows players with a little foresight to switch roles mid-battle, which is pretty powerful. The final unit I want to cover in this video is the mobile gap generator. In the original Red Alert, this unit generates fog of war. To replicate this, we made the unit project a bubble around itself that obscures the enemy's line of sight. This is pretty nice because when more than one gap generator is employed, it kind of creates a where's the ball scenario, where a particularly dangerous unit like a demolition truck could be under one gap generator, but really it's under the other that's coming around the back of the base, so the enemy team has to choose which one they want to intercept. I feel that this unit is a great example of how RTS mechanics can be altered for the FPS genre in order to create new and engaging gameplay experiences. With that said, I hope you've enjoyed watching this video. Thanks for watching.